In that case, then what we'll do is we will go on to look at the muscular system. Now, there are three main types of muscle: smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, and skeletal muscle. And skeletal muscle is also known as striated muscle. Striated, what does that mean? Striped, stripy. And we'll see why when we look at it in detail. Now, the first two of those, the smooth muscle and the cardiac muscle, is under involuntary control. What does that mean? It's not controlled consciously, okay? So, for instance, cardiac muscle is in the heart. How many of you are sitting there thinking, okay, contract the heart, relax, contract the heart, relax? Okay? None of you, hopefully. It just does it.
Some people can actually make their heartbeat stop, can't
There's always somebody who comes up with that. You're thinking of Indian fakirs and what have you, yes. Yeah, I mean, yes, that's true. You can actually, you know, if you think about that dreadful TV program that's on at the moment with John McEnroe on a Saturday night, The Chair, that's it. And he's got these people in a chair and their heart's monitored, and of course they're very nervous and they're answering questions and their hearts are going like crazy. And then they have to relax and get their heartbeat down before they can answer a question. So they, again, can consciously try to relax, try to put themselves within a position whereby everything is calm and that you see the heartbeat come down. So yes, we can influence the heartbeat. But you're quite right. There are these Indian fakirs and what have you who can take their heartbeat way, way, way down past what would normally be a low rate. Quite how they do it, we don't know at all. But they have been monitored and they do seem to be able to do it. And within that, they can also regulate their breathing rates as well, their respiratory rates. They drop right down. So it's under involuntary control. It just does it. It's not under conscious control. Now, skeletal muscle, on the other hand, is under what we term voluntary control. I.e., we can choose to make it contract or relax. We can choose to make it function to a degree. There's a conscious decision. So if I want to flex my arm, I flex my arm. If I want to extend it, I extend it. And the muscles that work my arm will work appropriately from conscious signals from my brain. If you think about grabbing something hot and then instantly letting it go, that particular reflex, part of it is involuntary in a sense, and part of it is voluntary in the sense of you instantly open up your hand. So that shows voluntary control of skeletal muscles. Of course, if that is hot and it's a pan and I know I've got to get it from there to there, and if I drop it, it's going to ruin my beautiful floor, I can actually override the natural reflex to let go and carry it over. So reflex is a funny thing. So we'll talk about reflexes when we do the nervous system. Yeah? You don't want to get too bogged down with them at the moment. But you're happy with that. You can see the difference between the two. Good. So let's just have a very quick look at smooth and cardiac muscle, and then we'll spend a lot of time looking at skeletal muscle. So this overhead is taken from your Ross and Wilsons. And you can see that smooth muscle is formed from these spindle-shaped cells. So smooth muscle cells tend to be spindle-shaped like this. And when they contract, the spindle shortens. So the whole length of the tissue is going to shorten. So imagine all these spindle-shaped cells. The spindle gets a little bit smaller, then the overall length of the tissue will get smaller. And smooth muscles are generally arranged as circular muscles or longitudinal muscles. And this is generally with reference to tubular structures, such as the gut. So if you imagine my pen is the length of your intestine, the circular muscles run around the circumference, and the longitudinal run lengthways from end to end. and they would form two separate layers of muscle, one on top of the other. In the stomach, we find a third sort, we find oblique ones, but we'll talk about that when we do the digestive system. So when these spindle fibers, when the spindle cells shorten slightly, if you imagine if they're longitudinal, it will shorten the length, and if they're circular muscles, when they shorten, they will contract in a little bit. And when they relax, they open out a little bit. We will talk about that a little bit more when we do the digestive system and we talk about a process called peristalsis. And peristalsis is carried out by these two sorts of muscles in the intestines. Now, cardiac muscle is made from branched cells. And you can see cardiac muscle just here. And you can see that the cells have these odd little branches coming off them. And that's so that the cells are not only connected, one on top of the other end to end, but they're also connected sideways next to each other. And as I'm sure you're aware, the heart beats due to electrical stimulation, and the slight branching of the cells allows the wave of stimulation to pass through the heart very easily, so that the heart will beat in a uniform way. So it's a little bit like if I took all 4 rows of people here and you all lay down in this direction so that you're all head to toe in a long line. And then some of you had your hands out to the side, touching people in the next row. And if I stimulate your feet, that's like the transmission. So the transmission will pass down, but can also pass sideways. And then we can get a wave of transmission going through the tissue. Again, we'll have a closer look at this when we study the heart in detail.